All right, welcome to another edition of the Singletrack Session, part of the TrailManners podcast. I am your host, Eric Manning, and we have a co-host today. In fact, before the podcast, we went on a run. We took both of our dogs, so, of course, Gunner, the trail captain, and Gus Walmsley went with us. Our guest who's been on the show before, we'll welcome back, is Debbie Farka.
Hello.
Hi, Debbie.
How's it going?
Good. So we've had plenty of prep time. We've been running, eating pizza, and brainstorming, right? And so we have a guest host. We have a lot of topics to cover, so we're going to buzz through these, but it's really good for people to get a better perspective than just me.
Your perspective is great.
And we'll see after this show, probably, for sure. So
well, it's a 2-beer show. Am I
it
giving
is.
something away?
So let's. She just gave it away. So it's going to be a 2-beer show because I had soccer practice, which wore me out, then running. So I'm going to start with one of my top 3 beers right now. It's from Mother Earth. It is part of the Resonator series. It's the Say When, and it is spectacular. And that's the one I've already cracked open. So if I hadn't, I usually crack them open. So it's half gone.
You had to have something to drink with your pizza.
I did. So we had some Spartacan pizza from Lucky Slice. Had some artichokes, some chicken, some feta, some tomatoes, not potatoes, tomatoes. So we've had a good start to the show. And we'll talk about the second beer once I open it. Because that's the second beer I've never had before. So this will be a new one for the show. But we're going to start off, and we're going to give so me and Debbie have kind of prepared a little bit of a show, but this is one she wasn't ready for. This is going to be all new, and we need your answer. So we had a guest it's been a month now, that sent into the show. She runs by herself sometimes, and she was curious what guys think, right, when they see a woman running by themselves on the trail. Not what you do, like step over to the side, but what goes through their head, right? And so we had that, but then someone chimed in and says, what do women think when they're running by themselves and they see a man or men on the trail? What are they thinking? What do you think? When you're running on the trail, it's like you and Gus, just you two, you're not with somebody else, and you see a guy, what goes through your mind?
Well, you got to qualify. What is the guy a trail runner?
Yeah,
is the guy a mountain biker?
You're on the trails.
Is the guy a creeper with sunglasses and a hoodie on?
That's what you need to figure out. Like, it's just a guy on the trail.
Just a guy on the trail.
Yeah, and you're by yourself, and here comes a guy. Here comes a guy on the trail. Say he's running. We'll just say running because we talk about running on this show quite a bit.
Okay.
So you see a guy running on the trail. Say he's coming towards you.
Yeah.
What goes through your head? Not what do you do, but what goes through your head?
I don't know. This is it's such a weird question. I mean, okay.
Like you think right away,
no,
okay, where's my mace? Do I have a gun?
No. I don't think where's my mace. Although I do run with it.
Gun, and you said 3 no's. So I don't
from
know
time to time. No, if I ran with a gun, I'd end up shooting myself. I mean, let's just not even know. But I guess I just usually think, is he going to move? Am I going to move? Who's going to move?
Okay.
If it's just a runner. And then sometimes, this is probably revealing way too much, but we talked a little bit about this earlier. Like, I usually assess their attire.
Oh, we'll get into that.
Oh my gosh, he's overdressed. Is he underdressed? Oh, he's shirtless and in shorts. He must be really fast. Or
why is he running?
Did that guy start at Ben Lomond because he's got a beanie and tights and a jacket and gloves and mittens on? And then it's, hey, how's it going? And then if they don't say anything back, then I get really irritated because I think that's impolite.
Do you ever get nervous?
No, not if the person is doing and enjoying the same activity that I do and enjoy, or doing something that's outdoorsy. If they're mountain biking, running, they're with their family, or if they're with a dog, I don't usually get nervous. It's the creepers on the trail with a hoodie and sunglasses that make me nervous.
So what do you do, like, if a guy you're running down the trail, you come around a corner, and there's a guy just standing there giggling?
It's you. I say, hey, Eric.
That's not funny. That's not fun. It's not me. I don't giggle on the trail, just stand there.
I'd probably run faster and just like speed on by and kind of maybe take a mental note of what he had on. And if I do have my pepper spray with me, I'll make sure it's handy.
Get one in the chamber at that point.
Yeah. But to the point of the person that said, the girl runs alone sometimes, curious, what's going through people's heads, and maybe she's a little nervous about running on the trail. When I'm alone running, or if it's just me and Gus, I always have my phone.
Okay.
Always have my phone. I try to always remember my pepper spray, and I have it handy. It's either in my hand or in my pack, just because people make me nervous.
Okay.
I'm more afraid of people than I am of animals.
Okay. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Is eye contact important?
I always make eye contact.
What do you think from the other person? Do you think, because we've had someone say eye contact is like, if they make eye contact, they usually feel more comfortable. If they don't, it makes them edgy.
Yeah, like if the person you're looking at doesn't make eye contact back. Yeah, and I think it also sends a signal like, hey, I'm here, I see you, I'm taking note of you and who you are. And so if that person doesn't reciprocate, it's kind of like I was saying, if they don't say hey back and they just mumble or kind of look away, I get a little bit more of that twinge of odd character, you know. But
see, and so I came at this like, this was a great topic for me because here's how I came at it. Like, I don't make eye contact. It makes me nervous to make. Like, if someone's running towards me, especially if it's a girl, a female is running towards me, I sometimes get nervous to make eye contact because to me, I'm thinking, I don't want them to think I'm checking them out, right?
Well, it's better to have eyes up here than you
I look
being
down at
all
my feet.
squirrely.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Like for a while, I would make, I'm nervous around the other gender anyway. So I'm on a trail. I'm like, man, I don't want them to be nervous, and I don't want to think I'm like checking them out. They're here to run, and I'm not. So I sometimes wouldn't make eye contact. But I'm like, I'm pretty friendly. So I'm like, hey, good morning or whatever. But that didn't process in my head until someone mentioned it. I'm like, oh my gosh. So there's people that think I'm a creeper because I didn't look up.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I think eye contact is important, and I'm speaking for myself here, female study of one, but I would prefer it if you made eye contact with me because you're acknowledging me, I'm acknowledging you. Like I see you, I'm taking note of you, and hey, it's kind of friendly. Whereas, you could send off the wrong vibe if you're not.
I'm used to that. I do that a lot. Send off the wrong vibe a lot. So, either way. I just usually, like, if I'm running and I'm looking up and the girl looks over, I usually run past them. I look down at my dog Gunner. I'm like, hey, they were checking us out, Gunner. That's how I take it, just self-confidence. Mm-hmm. Even if they were just taking a mental note. If I see that guy again, I'm going to freak out because he's following me. But that's not the case. So, anyway, that's a great answer. I just like, ever since that topic came up, I'm always interested on what other people think because, again, I'm lost in my own headspace a lot of times. So, the seasons are changing. We talked about that. We had a great run. It was beautiful out. We ran about 7 p.m.
Yeah.
It was still light out. But with the weather changing, some of the things that happen are there's more people on the trails. So as trail runners, as trail advocates, we need to remember a few things, right? So let's start with one of the two personal experiences you've just had recently.
Yeah,
Our four-legged friends. We really need, with more people on the trail, there's more traffic on the trail, and we are both, and I am a huge dog lover, but dog owners need to take another level of responsibility the more people get out, right? Because you had a bad encounter last week.
I did. I was running. It was just me and Gus out by ourselves on a Friday afternoon. Beautiful day, just like today, warm, sunny, lots of people out on the trails. And I came up on some folks and didn't see this dog initially because he was in front of his owner, and when the owner turned around to see me, to see who's coming up behind him, he got a look of fear in his eyes and lunged for his dog, but it was too late. And his dog was on me and he was on Gus and ended up pushing me off the trail, and it was a little bit of a scary encounter. It could have been a lot worse. But I just implore you, if your dog is aggressive, do not ever let them off the leash. And if you are not 100% confident that you can control your dog on any trail condition, no matter what is coming at you or what your dog is trying to get after, just leave them at home. just leave him at home because it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to hurt somebody. Been dealing with a really sore knee ever since then, and just really glad that it wasn't worse. And I'm really glad that his dog didn't get Gus worse than he did. So just be responsible and really think about that, because if I had a kid with me, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. And I think it's famous last words. It's always like, well, my dog isn't aggressive, or my dog likes people, or my dog's friendly. Those are usually famous last words for some people, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd look at it this way. I run with Gunner, and generally I run in the morning when not many people are out. So I take him off leash, but I can control Gunner. Like without a leash, he'll stay by me, or if I call him, he comes towards me. On top of that, especially when you're running when it's dark, you see headlamps, so you usually know when someone's coming. I leash him right up, right? I always do if anybody's around. And I get sometimes people, oh, you didn't need to do that. We like dogs. And it's like, well, I don't know that. And there's some people I know, and personally, they're terrified of dogs. So it's not just a matter of my dog's friendly. It's like, well, maybe you hate dogs, maybe whatever. So I think for me, it's a courtesy thing. And on the flip side, I don't want anything to happen that's going to hurt my dog. So if a mountain bike comes around the corner, not saying that he would, if he hits my dog, he's going to get hurt. I'd feel bad. But if my dog gets hurt, I'd also feel bad. So for me, it's the same thing. It's like I've been jumped on so many times by friendly dogs. And they were friendly, but they still jumped on me, jumped up all excited. And I don't want that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a dog I'll play with. So anyway, we've talked about it on the show before, but just like she said, be mindful. Me and Gunner had it, like you mentioned, if you can't control them, there was a local, I'm not going to say their name, but there was a local pet place in the Ogden area, and they were at a trailhead walking dogs. There were 2 women and 6 dogs, and each woman had 3 dogs. And me and Gunner came around the corner, and they literally, one was I'm not going to say which kind because people would jump on it, but it was a big, strong dog, and it pulled her, and she fell and hung onto the leash for dear life, and it came after me and Gunner. We ended up going down the side of the mountain, almost falling off the mountain a little bit off this trail because it was coming after us. And Gunner's a big wuss, so he's not going to protect me. I'm a wuss. I'm not going to protect him. It was like every legged creature for themselves at that point. But, again, she couldn't control him.
Yeah.
And so it's still an issue that way. I know there's a lot of dog lovers, and there's probably more responsible dog owners out there than not, but the seasons are changing. We got to be a little more careful because things happen, right? And we can avoid those. So, all right, that was your first interesting thing. The next one has to do with a guy on the trail, right?
Yeah.
So let's tackle that one. What else happened? What do we call them? Judgers. We call them trail judgers. TJs. We like to call them here on the TrailManners podcast.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I just admitted that I do this. As people are coming towards me.
I think we all do at some point. I think we all do.
So I'm sure this is a great example of what I was thinking. He was thinking. So. Running along the BST north out of Rainbow. And again, beautiful day. I've just been trying to really enjoy the weather. And, I'm out in shorts and a long sleeve t-shirt. I have my hat on, and that's it. It's plenty warm.
No shoes, no socks.
Well, okay, shoes and socks.
Oh,
okay, I got shoes and socks on.
I thought you were embracing Mother Earth.
Yeah, no. Running along, headed uphill, and this guy's coming downhill towards me, and he puts his arms out like he's kind of like, oh, hey, like a longtime friend. And I wear glasses, and I don't wear them when I run. And so I'm kind of squinting. I'm like, do I know this guy? This doesn't look familiar, running along, get a little closer. And I realize I have no idea who this man is. And as we get close enough to actually speak to one another, he's a little bit older gentleman, and beanie, long sleeve shirt, jacket, zipped up, gloves.
Basically, it was Jim Skaggs.
Yes. Yeah, but it wasn't Jim. I mean, he was dressed like Jim. Or Joel, because Joel is notorious. Joel Hatch, you are notorious for overdressing.
Joel doesn't listen to the podcast, so he's not going to hear it, so we're good.
Yeah. And he's dressed like it's, 8 degrees outside, and he looks at me and says, where are your clothes, young lady? Like, right here.
Yeah.
Good. I just gave it right back to him and said, aren't you dying? Aren't you hot?
Can I borrow some of yours?
It's really cold. Can I borrow that beanie? No, it was just funny, and it was a good trail encounter. It was friendly. He was laughing. I was laughing. It was, but trail judgers, you run by those people, you're like, oh my gosh, how is he not freezing or
anything.
Right?
Yeah. There's a lot of that, and it's funny you say that because right when you said that, trail judgers, I started cracking up because I think on some level everybody is that way, right? I mean, you see people on the trail. That's kind of, it's not a bad thing, right? We're not judging them as human beings. Like, that guy dresses with so many clothes. I bet he's an a-hole, right? We're not saying that. We're just saying he's got a lot of clothes on.
Yeah,
right?
And I don't mean it. When I say trail judgers, I don't mean it like negatively either. Snotty or mean-spirited, but it's just. You know how it is. You look at somebody, you're like, oh my gosh, I'd be dying if I was wearing that many clothes right now.
Or usually it's me. I'm like, man, I wish I had those shorts.
Yeah.
Those are cool. Where'd you get your shorts? Because me and Joel talk about it a while back. Not just trail. We have nicknames for people we see all the time on the trails. We don't know their names. We come up, and it's not meant to be rude. It's just for us to communicate. It's like, remember that one guy in the? It's like, you remember Dozer? Oh yeah, I remember Dozer. Yeah. So we have nicknames for him. So, but that's funny. I think trail judgers. I like that. We've never talked about trail judgers in that form before. And again, it's not mean-spirited, folks. We're trying to be all-inclusive and all happy. Let's see. What else we got going on? So I'm going to bring it up because I shared it via social media, and it was a great little article written by Jason Koop, who works for Carmichael Training Systems. 8 things ultra runners can do to improve training without an additional step. So I don't mean step forward or 9 steps. So anyway, an additional step. So they're pretty good. One, and I'm not going to say if I agree or disagree, but it's a good article we shared, and I'll have it in our show notes. Number 1 was track volume by time, not miles, and I've heard that both ways. Again, I think a lot of it comes down to what you're used to. What do you think of that one?
I think it's a good rule of thumb, especially when you are coming off of a winter or some time off, extended time off especially. I know, in the past I've had some wonderful coaching help, and that was something that really helped me initially when I was first in base building mode. But it was difficult to have that mind switch. You're used to saying, I need to go get a X mile run in order to be prepared or to help build my base. But to just not think about miles and just go, I'm going to run for an hour today, or I need a 2-hour run, and just doing what you can do in that time. I think it's a really great tip, and it's something that can really help you take the pressure off. If you only have an hour and you wanted 6 miles, but you couldn't get your 6 miles in the hour, whatever. I think it's really great, and I think personally both are important depending on where you are in your training and where you are in your headspace.
And I think one that's not on these steps, but again, as trail runners, I think it comes into more play than, say, someone that runs on the road is, okay, I'm going to go out for 4 miles. Okay, so I'm thinking in my head a normal 4-mile run. What if that 4 miles is Malin's, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it's completely, so Malin's where we're at, it's like 2,000 feet of climb in 2 miles, right? Right. So it's a different, not just time, not just miles, but the actual, route, I guess, or if there's vert or not, and then there's, different variables once you get into that speed. If you're doing a quicker workout, some with pace, or if you're taking a recovery run. So I think that could be broken down to me a little bit more, not just time and miles, but, based on the run itself.
Absolutely.
Number 2, use rate of perceived exertion, forget pace and heart rate. First of all, I always forget about my heart rate until it reminds me, which is generally quite a bit. I've never trained heart rate-wise with a heart rate monitor. I've never paid attention to it. Generally, my rule of thumb is if I pass out, I'm going too fast, and I should slow down, and I usually fall. No, I mean, for me, I can, and I totally understand the whole training in your zone, right? I totally get it. I'm not against it. I think people do what they need to do. But for me, I'm just not that caliber to where it's made a difference in my life, right? My heart's beating. That's solid. If it goes too fast, I absolutely know it. And I usually go on, if I can talk or not. If I can't talk, I'm like, oh, boy, you better be careful.
Yeah.
So I think that's number 2. And I think that one's interesting. And I think, again, so many of these can be broken down to the type of runner you are, I think, too.
Or what works for you. What helps satisfy whatever need you have. There are some people that are very data driven or, running based on their heart rate zones makes sense to them and it works for them. We have a good friend who does that and it works for her.
Yeah.
for me, that's just too much. I don't want to think about that.
Yeah.
For me, it's the rate of perceived exertion. For me, like you said, if I feel like I'm going too hard, I'm probably going too hard. If I can't talk when I'm running, I'm probably going too hard. But depending on the workout or the run that I'm doing. So, again, I think you got to, with all things like this, you have to choose what works best for you.
And what you're going for, like for me, if I have a heart rate, I usually celebrate it because that's a good thing, right? Like when I wake up, if my heart's beating, I'm pumped. It's like,
gonna be a
let's
good
hit
day.
the ground walking, right? So I think heart rate's good. Number 3, eat more plants.
Good advice, no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to be a vegetarian, a vegan. Doesn't matter. I think eating plants, depending on the plant, like I wouldn't eat the one sitting on your table right now. It's a money tree, right?
Don't eat it.
Yeah. So you don't have to. But I think, yeah, eating more plants, that's a good thing. We had some salad tonight. I feel totally refreshed. Pairs well with my beer. Number 4, super common in ultra trail running. This is one I learned right out of the gate. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's huge. And I think this one kind of sometimes sums up runners' races. Like the more you can deal with being uncomfortable, I think the better you do most of the time. It's, I think, when you're uncomfortable and you suck it up, right? Sometimes you hear that all the time. But I think this is a great one. You're not going to run your race and feel great the whole time. I don't care if it's 5K, half marathon, 50 mile, 100 mile. You're not going to feel great the whole time. So at some point, you just got to deal with it. The better you can deal with it, the better you're going to be.
And knowing it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just know that you're going to hit those lows, you're going to hit the highs, and you're probably going to hit them more than once. Like, oh, I'm through my low. It's a 50 miler. I hit my low at mile 20. I'm home free, right? And that's not generally the case. Number 5, hike more. Can't disagree with that. I do that a lot when I run and race. Even today, we started our run. You said, do you want to walk or run this? I'm like, let's walk it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
If I get a choice, we can walk it. But I think that's a good one. I think you hear that a lot, especially with races like a Hard Rock, some big if you can hike at a good pace, it's more efficient. And I think overall, if you train hiking, right? It's like people say, oh, I ran Malin's the whole thing, which is 2,000 feet of climb. I mean, that's great, but at some point, you're going to want to walk it fast too. So I think that's a good one. Hike more. Number 6, run inspired. Yeah, I get it. Right? I mean, if you're listening to the podcast when you run, you're going to be inspired. That's my thought. Mm-hmm. That's my self-promotion. Mm-hmm. If you're running, I think, to me, running inspired is almost like running because you enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, or if you're not inspired, it's generally you're not enjoying it, and that's when you need to reassess why you're doing it. My personal thought. Now, if you're in a race, that's different because you're not going to enjoy every step of your race. But if you're training, you're out there, and you're not into it, that makes sense. How about this one? Number 7, rest with intent. Yeah.
I think a lot of ultra runners especially struggle.
Oh, yeah.
With rest in general. It's forced, it's painful, it's uncomfortable because I think inherently most ultra runners are so used to being out there going that rest is so hard. And so I love that, rest with intent. Like you have a purpose, and it is to rest and it is to recover. So I love that. It's really difficult.
Well, so here, to make it more difficult, listen to what he says on this. So what does that mean, he says? It says, turn off your phone and meditate for 15 minutes instead of checking Twitter and mindlessly scrolling through Instagram. If you have a recovery run planned, do it as slowly as possible. Instead of watching TV, do some body work with a foam roller or massage ball. That makes sense, but it's hard. Like sometimes you just want to absolutely veg out, right? Like whether it's watching TV and you don't like. For me, it's like I know like stretching, yoga is a necessity, but sometimes you turn the TV on, you're like, oh, hold on, this is NCIS. I haven't seen this one. And you just get, it's like, crap, I just binge watched season 12, right? And you're sore when you get up. So I think that's hard. Listen to this one, though. This one's pretty neat. Set your bedroom up so that it's cool, quiet, and without electronic distractions.
I think that's good advice. That's just good sleep advice.
But you know what's interesting? So this whole 3 sentences we read, let's go back 15 years.
Yeah.
20 years.
Right.
Like,
right.
That's how it really was, right? Like, you didn't have Twitter. You didn't have Instagram.
There was no such thing as social media.
Flip phones didn't have very good screens.
Yeah.
Right? So you didn't have to worry about those things. TV, there wasn't nearly as much on. There was not Netflix. There wasn't Redbox. There wasn't Hulu. There wasn't anything.
The on-demand wasn't.
Yeah. So it's interesting how times change. It's almost like we're making things convenient, but in certain aspects, we're making life more difficult, right? Unhealthy,
right?
Too,
right?
All right, here's number 8, the final one. Focus on the process, not the outcome. That one's pretty legit. I think. All right, so you have a goal, right? You're thinking about the outcome. They say visualize. That's a big thing, right? Still is. I mean, I went through it. So you visualize what it's going to look like. Sometimes I think that's difficult to do when you're focusing on the process to get there, and sometimes we want to jump 2 steps ahead, right? So instead of focusing on what I need to do, like right now I'm not in very good shape, and I can't say, okay, can't wait to finish that 50-miler. You know, I'm so excited, and I'm like, man, I just did 3, and my calf hurts, right? So sometimes I think that's hard, but it makes sense. It's like, and I tell all runners, myself, all my soccer kids the same thing. I'm like, training is the work. The race, the game, that is the reward, right? So when you're focused on the hard work, come race day, don't look at it as difficult. It's like a celebration, right? And I think to me that's kind of what this is a little bit, is focus on what you need to do to get there, and once you're there, it'll work itself out, right? Anyway, I'll put and I'm going to write myself a note. We'll have that in the show links. But I'm interested. We posted it, and we've already had some people comment on that, on some of the things. But I think Jason Coop always writes great stuff. So, all right, let's move forward a little bit more. So I mentioned to you, you're new to co-hosting the Singletrack Session. There's a race coming up this weekend. It is called what's it called? The 9 Trails? Yeah, but it's I'm going to find it. I should have it off the top of my head. The 9 Trails 35-mile endurance run. It's in Santa Barbara, California. It's a steep, scenic course since 1990. But this is the fastest group they've ever had, and they're expecting both course records to fall, both for the men and the women. There is one link on Trail Runner Magazine that calls this the most stacked race for 2019 is a race you've never heard of. Well, I've heard of the race, but I see where they say that. Most stacked race is debatable.
Yeah, it's early.
It's early, and we already know who's showing up for Hard Rock. We already know who's showing up for Western, if they're all there. But listen to some of the names. I'll just break down the women's field first. These are just some of the names. Kat Bradley, first at Quicksilver 100K last year. Sarah Cotton, first at Mount Hood K in 2017. Jade De La Rosa, first at the Sky Mountain race. Chrissy Mell, my favorite of all time. Taylor Nolan, who's crushing it right now, and Sandy Nypaver, who just won the Moab Red Hot Fit. That's just the women's side. Now, that's not even all of them, but that's super deep. Now, the men's side is ridiculously deep, and the course record for the men is 5 hours, 40 minutes. Chris Brown, he just won Black Canyon 60K. Nicodemus De La Rosa, he won Orcas Island 100-mile last year, but he's also a Barkley finisher. Chris Danucci, Jimmy Elam from Salt Lake, Tim Frerick, so one of the Cowboys, Jesse Haynes, Jared Hazen, Cody Reed, Eric Sensman, Jim Walmsley. Like the whole posse will be out there taking names. So that's super stacked. Yeah. I think you've heard of Jim Walmsley. Like your dog's named somewhat after him.
It's a fun
or
story.
It's the other way around. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. It's one of the ways around anyway. But yeah, I've never heard of someone calling it such a stacked field already. I think if everybody shows up healthy, it should be a fun day.
Yeah, well, it's early, so hopefully everyone's still healthy this season.
I hope so, because there's a lot of those names have a big year ahead of them. And I want to talk about this race. I've never heard of this race. Okay, it's called the Sandlot Marathon. So what comes to your mind? The movie?
The movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
a deep Corn.
So listen to this. Yeah, sweet and hot. That's how I love it. So this is run as a marathon on a snow-covered baseball field in Minnesota. It's 384 trips around the bases.
Oh, man. Oh, my gosh.
Right? So can you imagine that?
No. Wait, so is it the same direction?
I can't answer that.
Like,
I don't know anything about other than that. But I just know, first of all, how do you do that?
With how many entrants? Yeah.
That's the things.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Let's see. I'll see if I can find any more. But 384 home runs, right? Let's see. Overall marathon. Let's go. I don't even know. I'm not even going to pretend I know. But there's a half. They call it the minor league half marathon. But I can, in my head, like I can't do 4 laps around a track, right? That's to me mind-numbing. 384 times around the bases. You would have to at some point go the other way, right? You'd imagine. You'd have to go both ways in this race, right? At some point.
Well, you would hope so, but how logistically, like I said, depending on how many entrants they have, how are you going to do? How do you do that?
So if you have a lot of entrants, people are going to run more than that because you have to go further around, right, to get around people.
Yeah.
And technically that's longer. So at the end of the day, it could be well over a marathon. I don't know. Anyway, I saw that one. I've never heard of that one. I had to bring it up because we haven't talked about races for the last few weeks because, number one, there hasn't been a lot, and there's just been so many other topics to talk about.
I want some live coverage on that Sandlot.
I don't.
Logistically, I just want to see how they do it.
I can't imagine there being a whole lot of snow left on the path, right? You just stomp it into the ground. Like, you got to have, that's just crazy. Yeah. Like, I would never, no thanks. Bat flip
not my cup of tea.
No, there's a lot of those out there. There's a lot of that, not my cup of tea. One thing also we're going to bring up, and this is something that I've had conversations with you about recently and a few other people is, and a lot more people are turning off social media. You hear it all the time. Hey, folks, I'm leaving Facebook for a while. It takes too much time. I don't agree with it. Whatever it might be. And we talked about this. And so this is like a public service announcement from TrailManners. And it says, people, don't judge your life by social media.
Yeah.
Because here's what happens is people have their greatest hits on social media. I don't care, Instagram, Facebook. Still the ones that always get me kind of giggly or when people post photos with like a quote from, someone popular, Thomas Jefferson, right? Somebody really popular, like The Rock. Those always get me, right? I'm always like, okay, that's a good one, right?
Yeah.
But the time it takes to have all those or Google them, hands down. But yeah, it's like people show, I'm going to say most people, I'm going to really pigeonhole this one. They show the greatest things in their life. But folks, trust me, there is a side B to this album, right?
Yeah.
There's the slow song. There's the struggles, like I just ran, 47 miles and my hair looks jazzy. Dude's got the sweet looking, whatever. What's popular right now for the dudes? High shaved sides with a feather off to the side maybe. And they still look jazzy. But man, there's so much more to that, right? So saying this, because there's a lot of people, you see it all the time, runners. Rob Cryer had a great article out, people battling depression and people like going on social media and looking, going, gosh, my life's hard. Or and I hope more people going, I love my life, right? That's what I hope. But just a public service announcement is there's a side B.
Yeah.
That's the thing you need to understand. I enjoy when people post those, right? It's usually like, God, woke up this morning having a great day, dropped my coffee, stepped on my dog poop in the kitchen. You know what I mean? It's like those are the ones I'm like, that's my life, dude. Virtual fist bump right now, right?
Yeah. Well, I think your public service announcement is to remember that is, you are seeing somebody else's greatest hits. You're not seeing all of the normal, the nitty gritty, like you said, the dropping the coffee in the morning or, the kid's temper tantrum as you're trying to get out the door to school, whatever. I mean, but it's also a call, I think, for me to be authentic, be more authentic, and don't be afraid to show the not so shiny bright side of your life because we're all there and we're all doing the same thing and fighting similar struggles or just doing life, and it's never perfect. It's never the version that you're seeing on social media.
And real quick, I think I made a mistake. Gunner's my dog sitting right next to me. He's never pooped in the kitchen, so I think he felt bad when I said that.
He did.
He's never pooped in the kitchen, so sorry about that. But yeah, I think it's important because we talk about that a lot. I mean, everybody goes through lulls. Everybody goes through valleys, right? But just remember that what you're seeing is not always the real deal.
Or it's just part of the real deal.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it could be. It's like, yeah, they triumphed, right? But you don't know what it took to get to that point, right? So that's just a lovely, lovely public service announcement that we have for the TrailManners podcast. All right, next up, we're going to tackle a few things out of order. I'm going to talk about our people on Strava last week, and then Debbie, being the guest co-host, has selected the WDYFTY winner that we'll be using for the picture. So TrailManners, wheat leaders Dan Hawk, 97 miles. Tim Bade, I would say Tim Bade.
Bad.
But yeah, bad's too easy. Like, I mess up names all the time. But yeah, 23 hours, 56 minutes. It is pretty bad. And climbing, Aaron Hill, 19,061. So great job, everybody there. Real quick, though, we just talked about favorite names, and last week was Monday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday is a day of the week. It was St. Patrick's Day, and I, all day long, think as a trail runner, I kept thinking of, I wish Patty O'Leary was racing, because I would totally cheer for him. That's my favorite racing name still, is Patty O'Leary. Super fast guy. But anyway, congratulations to everybody. Our Strava group is up to 563 members, and now it is time for this week's WDYFTY. This year, it is sponsored by good friend of the show and obviously fanboy of the show, Turtle Miller, with Caldwell Banker in St. George. So make sure, if you're looking to purchase in St. George, if you want to buy me a place to get away from in the wintertime, go see Turtle. He'll take care of you. He's a good guy, and he's also the sponsor for WDYFTYs for this year. And we're working on the logo, and Debbie just gave me a great idea for finishing up a logo here pretty quick. But anyway, Debbie, who did you select for the WDYFTY winner?
It was not easy. I've heard you and Joel banter back and forth about how difficult it is, and it really is hard.
It is hard.
It's really hard. I think, can we do some shout outs to people that had some great photos but maybe didn't win?
Yep.
Steve Hernandez.
Yes.
And the Ogden Half MILF.
Yep. It was if you haven't seen it, there's an actual pole on the Ogden Parkway, and it says on the side in white lettering, half MILF. Now, obviously, it was supposed to say half mile, but someone got creative and took down that little outward bottom of the E.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny, though.
Very funny. Very funny. Got a good laugh out of us, Steve. Good job. Amy Butler, Those Trees, Vermont, I think is where she's running.
She is.
Beautiful, beautiful. But the big winner.
The big butt.
Yes, somebody who I just adore, Draney, Canyonlands.
That was awesome.
Such a great shot.
That was a good shot.
Yeah.
And they were all great. We need to see more. We were down this week from normal. We've been up to the 70s before in pictures, but I think a lot of people are coming out of the winter.
I'm surprised the weather's been so nice that.
Yeah, I'm hoping this Sunday we get crushed. But we had a lot of good ones. So there's two things to this. There's like a lot of numbers of it, and then there's quality numbers of it, right? And I think we had some very high quality photos this week from everybody. So thank you for that. Next up, got to throw it out there just so everybody's aware. If you're local, it usually helps for this one. But we have the Ogden Trail Running Festival coming up. That is May 3rd and 4th. Registration for the 10-mile and the 4-mile Gib Wallace race are open on Ultra Sign Up. But this just in, Amer Sports Factory Outlet is hosting another sign-up night on Friday, March 29th. If you come down to Amer Sport Factory Outlet, Joel will be there. I will be there. And if you register, you will get an additional 30% off outlet apparel, accessories, and footwear if you sign up for the race that night. So we did this once before. People came in, we're buying Soonto watches, loading up on shoes and gear. So it's, the outlet is cheap. It's already discounted. Now you get an additional 30% off.
That's a screaming deal.
Yeah, right? And, Joel and I will be there. They're going to be open until 7 p.m., so they're staying open late for us. So if you want to run the race, come on down. We'll have some TrailManners swag there. There's also going to be a group run and a Solomon shoe demo. We're bringing it, right? We're bringing it. So show up. The demo is going to be run by Blake Palmer from the store. Anyone's welcome to attend. Run's going to start at 5, just a few miles along the parkway, somewhere close to the store. So you have plenty of time to come down, demo some trail shoes, road shoes, whatever shoes they got there, demoing. You'll demo those, sign up for the race, get an additional discount. like I said, we'll even have some TrailManners swag, especially for those that sign up. We'll just, throwing you a hat, a buff, whatever we bring down. So don't forget about that. If you're not around, that's fine. You can still go online, register for the Gib Wallace races. And the Kids K is open up. We've got registration already coming in for that. We're capping that at 200. We sold out at 100 pretty fast last year. Don't forget. And we want to thank our beautiful sponsors for this year. Obviously, our title sponsor is Solomon and Amer Sports Factory Outlet, along with our good friends from the Palisades Ultra Trail Series, Ogden Trails Network, Gear 30, and the Kids K sponsor, Mackenzie Exhibit, here locally. If you're looking to sponsor the race, hit me up, manners@trailmanners.com. Or if you want to put a booth up on Saturday, same thing applies, manners@trailmanners.com. Hope to see you all there. And we really hope to see you at registration evening at Amer Sport Factory Outlet. So, that's like our commercial break.
Yeah.
So it is time now, after that commercial break, it is time to open a beer I've never had before, coming to you from Ballast Point Brewing Company, which is one of the ones I really enjoy. It is a one I've never tried, though, a Fathom, Fathom, Fathon, Fathom IPA. It's not Fathom, it's Fathom. So I'm going to put my microphone down. Debbie's going to sing, and I am going to open the bottle. Okay, so here goes the first one. So, like I said before, the first one was the Mother Earth Say When. Just get it, try it, drink it all up. It's good. You won't regret it. This one, here we go. Smell test, decent.
Sniff test.
Smells like a glass bottle. Okay. All right. I'm feeling it. It's okay. Yeah, it's not going to be one of my favorites. It's 6 point by volume, 6%. It's a little bitter IPA, a little more bitter IPA for me.
You didn't get the bitter beer face.
No, I'm past that. I think that's just a normal face. Like they have the resting bee face. I just have the resting bitter beer face. Yeah, it's a good beer. I would go with Say When still, anytime. I'm going to have another sip just to make sure I'm not being mean. Yeah, I mean, it's not my style. I can see where people would really like it. But, yeah, I probably won't buy another one because there's just a lot of good ones out there. So that's the number 2 beer for the week that we'll talk about. So we're going to get into a couple Ask TrailManners questions. And so you're involved with this because you're part of the TrailManners party. So the first one, here we go. And we kind of talked about this. I kind of prefaced this one with you a little bit. It says, after you posted on Facebook, question of the week. We do a question of the week every Saturday. The question of the week last week was about new gear coming. So new gear that's coming out that maybe it's not out yet, maybe it is, up to you. What pieces of gear are you looking most forward to? And they asked me that. They said, hey, with that question, what are you looking most forward to? Well, funny you should ask that because I love gear. Let's get that straight.
As you pull out a list.
Hold on. Let me get my book out. No, I've only brought a couple to the table because it's the ones I'm like kind of really jazzing for. So one of them I already got. It's the Patagonia Houdini. It's the new. It's not the Houdini. It's the, and I wish I had the name off the top of my head. It's the newer one. It's a little heavier than the Houdini. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Is it waterproof?
It's
Rain?
not waterproof, but I think it's more water resistant than the Houdini is. It's a little heavier, obviously, because it's what it's supposed to be. So, I mean, it's not trying to replace the Houdini. The Houdini is what it is, and it's going to be iconic forever, whether you like it or not. This one is called the Houdini Air Jacket. Retails at $169, unless you know a guy. Not me. $169. It weighs 4.1 ounces, so it's a little heavier than the Houdini. But basically, it's in between the Houdini and the Airshed, and the Airshed has been my go-to favorite jacket for the past 2 years. Patagonia Airshed, nothing in my opinion. That's my favorite. So this one's supposed to fall in between those with breathability. I love it, and it's pretty sexy. I got the gray one with the green, and it's pretty hot. So yeah, that was one. So I already got that one. The next one I haven't got yet because I just haven't. Is the new Patagonia vest. We've seen that one. I've seen that one. Joel's talked about it when he was part of the TrailManners podcast before he, left. And being by myself, Joel. It's the Slope Runner vest. They have an 8-liter and a 4-liter. It's pretty, when you look at it, it's not the most sexy vest out there.
Agreed.
Right?
I saw it the other day.
It's gray with some greenish, yellowish trim, kind of like the jacket I bought, actually, now that I'm looking at it. But it looks super functional as far as pockets go, especially if you like to carry stuff up front. So I'm looking forward to giving that one a whirl, but I don't have it yet. Next up is going to be the new, they're not even out yet, is the new FKT shorts by Rabbit. I talked to the folks at Rabbit. They're not out yet. Their stuff is hitting right now, some of their new stuff that looks really great, but the new FKT is not out yet. And I'm looking forward to that. Now, shoes. I'm a huge shoe guy. And as most listeners know, if you know me, I'm a Pearl Izumi wearer. And I still have a few pair left, thank goodness. But
did you stock up?
I sure did. Yeah. I absolutely have a storage unit full. Not full, but I've got, a good 7 pair at least. But I'm always looking for a new shoe because they're going to be gone soon. I'm trying to wean off those. So I keep trying different shoes, some New Balances I've tried, some Ultras. Tried some Hokas on this weekend. I tried on the new Challenger 5. I tried the Torin on again. I still like that, how that feels. Didn't buy it. But the ones I'm looking forward to are from Nike. So they've had the Terra Kiger and the Wild Horses, and last year's model of the Wild Horse I wasn't a fan of the 4 because it was really tight around my front of my foot. It was like kind of weird, but it looks like they revamped those. And there's only been pictures of them since last fall, but I think those launch 1st of April. But those I'm really looking forward to. So the Wild Horse is going to give you more cushion. The Terra Kiger is more of that minimal, low to the ground, not a ton of, it's more like a pure grit, something like that, something with a lower stack height. But I'm really looking forward to both of those. I've heard good things about them, but I haven't tried them on, so that's what I'm looking most forward to. And then after that, that's all I got right now. There's so much stuff out there, though, but that's the ones I'm looking most forward to. Actually, let me take that back. I also bought something else from Patagonia, and it's their new running top. So the new running shirt they have. So they came out with their line changed a little bit. It's the Air Chaser shirt. Retails at $49. Absolutely drop dead comfortable. Not a ton of Patagonia. One thing I noticed they did this year is they didn't go big on colors. They've got some like the blacks, the grays. They got some blues, and then they have this kind of yellowish color. They call it they don't call it yellowish. It's
like yellowy green.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
something like that. So, but that shirt I bought the black one because I'm totally it's called FOLIOS. How do you pronounce that? Folius green. That's kind of their new color. But anyway, the Air Chaser shirt, I've got one of those, and I was really happy. And
you went
wore that
sleeveless,
tonight.
right?
I wore that tonight. They don't have that in sleeveless. But it's one I wore tonight running, the black one, and I love it. So that's what I'm looking most forward to. Is there anything that you're looking forward to?
So you asked me this the other day.
I did. I tried to prep you. I tried to prep you.
Prepping me for this, and my answer was, I am such a creature of habit, and I'm not a gear junkie. Like, I love listening to you and Joel when he was on the show with you guys, just geeking out over new gear. And I'm just, I've got my Solomon vest that I love. I'm used to it. Love running with that thing. I run in Innovate shoes.
Yep.
And I will live in those shoes until they ruin them.
Which ones? Do you know which ones you have?
I don't even know.
See, that's what I was going to say.
Black and orange ones over there.
So she's got the new black and orange Innovates.
They're not even new.
She's such a gear junkie.
I'm such a gear junkie. No. And, I
Are you looking forward to the new Sony Discman that's coming out?
Totally. No. I mean, I run shorts, tank top.
Which is good. That's good.
It's like
nothing.
I got nothing. Like my socks.
Okay.
The one thing that I do get excited for is a new pair of socks.
But what do you wear, though?
Why are you judging me already?
Because I'm a trail judger. You brought it out.
I bet that girl wears toe socks.
Oh,
That's totally what you think when a girl
when
I came,
you. Well,
because you're looking at their feet.
When I came in the door and you invited me and Gunnar come in, you had orange toe socks. And I looked down. I was like, God. It's like a freaking episode of Sesame Street.
Hey, don't knock my toe socks.
Too late.
I don't even know how to say it. Is it Injinji?
Injinji.
Yeah. They're the best for
I've tried
me.
them multiple times. Can't do it.
I love
Maybe it's
socks.
the 30 minutes and all the calories I burn putting them on.
Putting them on. Hey, that's bonus.
Turns me off to them, but no, that's not a bonus. My run window has closed by the time I get them on.
I got 45 minutes for a run and I took 30 putting
I know.
the socks on.
My dog just looks at me the whole time like, well, that was a waste of time.
No, I found those years ago. I don't even know who recommended them. Probably Brian.
I think it was probably Bert or Ernie.
But they're just my favorite. I don't get blisters. I'm lucky. I don't have trouble with my feet usually, and I think part of it is because of those socks, and I do get excited when I get a new pair.
I love socks, so I can't. The only thing I could knock is their toe socks, but I love socks. So
yeah, the one thing I will say for ladies out there, I did find a new to me brand. And so I'm kind of particular. I guess the one gear piece I am somewhat particular about is the tank tops that I run in the summertime. I don't want a tight racer back because then your pack starts to chafe and it's just really painful. I can't stand running in a t-shirt in the summertime. So I need a wider back tank, or not quite sleeveless, kind of in between tight
muscle
racer
shirt.
back. Totally. Muscle shirt. Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm into.
You're with me. Yeah.
Got my Def Leppard shirt up.
Yes. It's Oiselle. Is how you pronounce it, and it's
a Christmas drink, wassail.
Wassail. Oiselle. And they have a great women's tank that covers the back enough. So
I bet you don't know the name of it.
Absolutely not. You want me to go grab it?
Nope. Because it probably doesn't say it on the front.
Girls, just you know how to use the Google. Get on their website and you can find it.
I was going to say something, but I won't. Okay, so
you're so judging me.
We're way past that. So there's that. What about tube tops? Those are coming back, I think. No, you wouldn't wear one of those because it's chafing.
Nobody wants to see that.
I wear them sometimes at the dog park.
Like I told you earlier, like people, you gotta run in the early morning when you wear that stuff. Otherwise, you gotta beat off your fans with a stick. It just takes away from your run time. It
does, like putting on Injinjis. So that's what you're looking forward to then, right? All those pegged, total named gear.
I'm not a gear junkie. I'm sorry. I'm letting you down.
You're a very small percentage of this population. I can.
But an important.
You are. You're very
the
much.
Population.
You're very much. We appreciate the B-side. So next up, we have another Ask TrailManners question. I'll let you participate in this one.
Oh, thank you.
Because it was kind of pigeonholed towards me because we haven't had guest hosts. It says, Eric, you hit some good concerts last summer. What's on the schedule for 2019? So let me ask you that because I've got my list already.
Of course.
In fact, I've got tickets already. Is there any concerts you're looking at for 2019? Because, music and trail running really do go hand in hand.
Yeah, I agree. And I am a concert goer. I love live music. The Ogden Twilight concert series. Bob Moses will be coming to that. So,
haven't heard of Bob Moses. I have to listen to that.
Yeah, you're going to have to. I'll send you a link.
Okay, I like links.
Yeah, I'll send you a link so you can YouTube that. So I'm looking forward to that. I need to get some tickets to that Bob Moses concert. And then I have a couple others that I want to look and see where they're touring. I found a new to me group. I don't know how long
this should be good.
Been on the scene.
Sticks. REO Speedwagon. Chicago.
Chicago. Journey. No. The band is called Camp, and it's spelled with 2 A's. CAAMP.
Okay. I haven't heard of them, so you win that one.
Thank you, Pandora. They popped up on, just a playlist that I was listening to, and I've been totally digging their album.
What kind of music are they?
Sort of indie rock, a little bluegrassy.
Okay, sounds like something I'd like.
Yeah, I think you probably would.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that they're touring somewhere close by, so I can maybe go see them in concert somewhere. And I did just recently see, I believe, that Mumford & Sons are coming.
They are. I got my tickets.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Are they sold out?
No, they're at USANA.
Oh yeah.
But most of them they're over half easy. Yeah, I got Mumford & Sons tickets.
Yeah. So, and then total confession. This is not one I'm super looking forward to, but my daughter asked for Ariana Grande tickets for Christmas.
Okay.
So she got those. So I'll be going to Ariana Grande.
You're going to love it.
Yes.
I can't name one song she
I
sings.
can't either. But
it sounds like a meal at a Mexican restaurant. Can I have the number 2? Can I have the Ariana Grande?
Grande.
Do you want enchilada sauce on top of that?
Mole. So what's your list then? Where are you
My
going?
list. So here's these are ones all the ones I'm naming I have tickets for already. So I'm with you. There's my daughter's favorite group, and we go every time they come. Except I'll probably be outdoor retailers this year, but she has tickets. Train is her favorite, and they're coming with the Goo Goo Dolls, which is pretty cool.
That's a blast from the past.
Right? So that's pretty cool. So I got tickets to that one. I also got her tickets to Hugh Jackman. He's coming to town to do some singing, some Broadway stuff.
Yeah.
So we're going to that. She loves him. I've got Mumford & Sons tickets already. I've got Dave Matthews Band tickets, which is my favorite, and I've also got Toad the Wet Sprocket tickets.
For
They're
real?
coming to the depot. So that's what I've got nailed down. But I'm super excited and waiting for Red Butte Gardens because their schedule announces in April. And they always sell out quick.
Announced yet.
No, and
Okay.
they have a few bands they've announced. I think Stray Cats are coming. There's a couple others. But last year's lineup was ridiculous, like amazing. So I'm hoping they try to top that because there's a couple other bands I'd love to see. One of my favorite Indigo Girls. And I know they're touring because they're going to be in Idaho. So I'm like, okay, they'll be there. They're always here. So I'd see them. I'd love to see the Avett Brothers again. That was such a great show last year.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I think that's all I have right now, and I don't really know, for me, who else is touring right now. It's still early for our summer concert series, but Toad the Wet Sprocket, which I'm guiltily looking forward to, Mumford & Sons, Dave Matthews Band, Hugh Jackman, Train, and the Goo Goo Dolls. That's a pretty good
Solid lineup.
It really is, and that's just to begin. So last year I crushed it, had like my best concert year ever. And so this year, I'm just going to keep going. Just got to keep building.
You're going to one-up it.
Yeah, keep recycling cans, buying tickets, whatever I need to do. Stand at the corner at the gas station with a sign. Help, need money for tickets. That'll be me. So that's my answer to that second and only two Ask TrailManners questions. So we're going to finish it off with a couple things. Do you have anything else you'd like to discuss, like to add, like to throw into your first Singletrack Session co-hosting?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about this on our run today. I
was probably breathing way too hard to listen. We were going downhill probably too.
I think this would be a really interesting topic of conversation, and I'd be really interested in what the listeners think. What are your irrational...
Oh, yes, I remember this one.
Irrational trail fears. Trail running fears.
So give us an idea of what you mean. What irrational trail... Like if you're out on the trail... What are your irrational fears? It's going to happen, right? Is that what you mean?
Could happen. It might be just your imagination. It could be the small possibility of something like this happening, or it could just be completely wackadoo irrational, right?
Okay.
I'm afraid of Sasquatch. I can't ever run Hidden Valley because Sasquatch
lives
there.
Let's not put that in the wackadoodle line. Okay. That's still pretty true to my heart.
Vampire bunnies.
Yeah, I could do that's yeah.
Okay, so my
your irrational fears of going on the trail. Tube tops.
Yes.
Okay.
You nailed it. Irrational fear running in the dark alone.
I don't know if that's irrational. I know a lot of people like that.
So yeah, I know I'm not alone in that. And I have told myself for years, I'm going to get over this fear. I'm going to get over this fear. Just suck it up and do it. Because once I get out there and fine, it's actually making myself go in the morning, in the dark, alone.
Yeah.
And I told you earlier, people scare me more than animals. I'm not really all that worried about animals, although I know that's a real possibility. But I just have that in the back of my head, the what if the crazy druggie is on the trail and gonna get me, so it keeps me from going sometimes.
That's why I go out in the dark.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on,
Just you giggling around the corner. I told you.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah. So it's somewhat irrational because the likelihood of something happening is pretty small, but it's real for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious. What are your irrational fears? Is it vampire bunnies? Is it Sasquatch is it?
I don't know if I have any. I think running in the dark, just get on a treadmill in your basement and turn the lights off, see what happens. Right? That's the way to get used to it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen on a treadmill in your basement with the lights out. No headlamp.
Yeah.
Maybe a candle in the corner. Maybe some patchouli oil. I don't know. I don't know if I've got...
It just got really weird.
It did, right? I don't know if I have any irrational running fears.
Snakes. You were afraid of snakes
That's not
today.
Irrational, man. Those are everywhere, and they're bull.
It's too early.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Therefore,
snakes
irrational.
are real. It's not irrational. It's real, and they suck. So let's see. Snakes, irrational. I don't know. I guess it's not irrational. I guess I think about it once in a while. Because I'm known on the podcast for the guy that takes his shorts off to use the restroom when I run. Although I will say there's so many converted people now that have actually came up to me and says, dude, that's amazing. I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, I'm not doing it because it's easy.
Because it's convenient.
Yeah, I do it for the euphoria. I would say irrational is when I go back and my shorts are gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Someone stole your
That
shorts.
would freak me right out.
Yeah.
Like, I would probably just be the person they find 6 months later in the same spot. Right? I wouldn't try and do some survival guy and, get some aspen branches and whittle its skirt. I would just lay there until, I don't know, a tweaker came by and then took his jean
Loaned you
jacket.
some shorts.
Yeah. I don't know if I have an irrational running fears. I mean, because I don't think they're irrational. Like the snake one's not irrational.
Okay, so maybe irrational is the wrong term, but what are your trail running fears that are very real to you, that other people kind of giggle at you or think you should just get over it?
Yeah, no one's going to giggle at me when I say I'm scared of snakes.
Sometimes maybe it keeps...
They'll be like, word up.
Real word. Maybe it keeps you from going out sometimes or whatever. I mean,
Laziness?
I'm just... What?
Laziness? Is that an irrational fear? I just get lazy. Should I go running? Nah, I'm going to sleep in. This is comfy. My quilt and comforter are fresh.
Someone might steal my shorts.
I think there's some out there. We talked about it. Like someone's like, I'm deathly afraid of trees. Right? It's like you're not going to run in the woods. I'm afraid of... Spiders. That's not irrational, but they're out there. I don't know. I think a lot, like, okay, I'm not afraid of it, but one thing that I don't like is being like the first in the morning and you're running and it's all the cobwebs hitting you in the face.
Oh, I hate that.
Like, what happens? It's not irrational, but I hate it.
You know it's coming.
Especially when you run with Joel and he's in front of you because he's so short. Like, I don't get him from the neck down, but from the neck up, I'm just getting crushed, right? So I think that's one. I hate that.
The worst is when you can see the spider.
Just open your mouth. It's a little
Protein.
snackage. Yeah, little bite. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm curious, too, what are people's... Because some of them are legit. Like, there's people with all over the world that have some crazy fears. Like, my daughter Aspen, I love her to death. If you start coughing, she takes off running.
Why?
She will, because she thinks you're going to throw up.
Oh.
She's absolutely not scared, horrified of someone throwing. If I sit there and go, she runs. And she'll turn the corner, and she gets this fear in her eyes. Dad, are you okay? Like, it's funny. Because if you start coughing,
So is she afraid you're going to vomit on her?
No, just vomit. Like, we'll watch a show, and if someone throws up, she'll almost start crying. She hates vomiting. Like, she does it. She's money at it, though. It's like she's got it down when she does it, but she's terrified. Like, at school, she always, Dad, today at school, this girl next to me was coughing so bad she was going to throw up. I ran to the pencil sharpener. Something funny. But there's people, like, I love you, Aspen. But there's people, like, have irrational fears, I think. Yeah. Whether it's, I'd like to hear them. Yeah. Like, some I don't think are rational. But, well, yeah, what are your fears? Running in the dark, I hear a lot, though.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I still feel a little weird if I'm by myself in the dark. It's still kind of creepy. You hear a noise. You're kind of like, crap. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's legitimate to you, whatever the fear is to you that is keeping you from doing what you want to do, or maybe it doesn't keep you from doing what you want to do, but it's always there in the forefront of your mind. I'm just curious, like, what those little things are, because there's some...
I think sometimes, I don't know if it's irrational or not, sometimes if I'm running a new course, like a race, I get nervous that I'm going to miss a turn.
Yes.
Or if you don't see a confidence flag, even though it's the only trail that you've been on and you haven't seen a marker for a while, I get nervous. And I'm like, I know I'm on the trail. I look down, Yep, those are
I
hookers.
start watching for
those
footprints.
Those are ultras.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I don't know, maybe people just out running earlier, you know, because you haven't seen somebody for so long.
Yes, it's so funny. We were talking earlier about Bigfoot 200. So I paced Harrison last year, and I had a couple of those moments where, you know, we're kind of alone for a long time, and there was no turns, and you know that in your head, like, okay, I know I didn't miss a turn because there are no turns, but am I still on the right track? Hopefully I didn't get us lost. Oh God, what if I got us lost? You know, start looking for footprints in the dirt in front of you, or listening extra hard to hear another runner.
Look at your watch. Oh, we should have been there 6 miles ago.
Oh, jeez.
Or when someone comes up, or you catch up to somebody, and they're like, I think we missed a turn, and they're like, son of a, you know, it's like, man, did we? You know, or are you just thinking we did? And then, I hate, that's one that makes me nervous still.
Yeah.
I'm not good with maps. Like, I don't really look at maps for a race.
Well, I didn't have one for that
race.
race.
It doesn't matter. It's a race. Like, there's people that are hardcore with that. Like, they know the turns. Oh, yeah, I looked on the topographical map and you turn here. I'm like, I turned at the squiggly line that went this way.
Yeah.
I just follow. I just hope that they're marked well. And that's not good for people out there. Don't follow my advice, but I don't do well with, you know, turn right at the pine tree. I'm like, which one, right? So I think that's a fear of mine. I get that a lot in race. I had that last year at Twisted Fork. I got nervous. I missed a spot because I hadn't seen something for so long, even though I knew it wasn't. So I think that's one. I think that's it. That's all I got for creepy missed turns. I think other than that, I just want to give a quick thank you so much, and I hope people know I'm sincere when I say this. Patreon supporters, we went from 24 to 26, so we picked up 2 more, so we're halfway to my goal of 50 plus 1. So I want to thank Seth Wattups and Eric Lewis. Thank you so much. Every freaking dollar helps. It's much appreciated. I mean that sincerely. I hope you're not just thinking that, but it does help the show continue with all the costs and things we do. So I want to thank our Patreon supporters. We got some cool stuff coming up. We got some new shows coming up, some new guests. So those that are at that certain level can ask questions. I'll send the the Patreon post, if you will. And after talking with Debbie tonight, we're going to TrailManners are looking to change a few other things and improve a few other things. So hope everybody likes those logos, doing some video stuff. Once I decide if I want to, change, shave or not, I want to make sure I look good for the camera.
Cleaned up
a little bit. I think that's all we have for this week. I also want to let everybody know that if you have any suggestions, topics, people, anything else, just send them my way, manners@trailmanners.com. Other than that, I want to give a huge thank you to Debbie, not just for being on the show, but for taking me on the run and buying the pizza. That's just a win-win. 2. Yep, that's 2 wins. Yeah. And just being a guest on the show, I think it's great to have you back on the show with us. Other than that, thank you so much.
Love it. It's fun.
Thanks for listening to TrailManners Podcast. This is Singletrack Session number 130. Don't forget to check the show notes, and we'll talk to you next week.